attendance with the exception of Patrick Delaney, who is excused. A list of others will be on file in the clerk's office. Item number 1, call the meeting to order at 4:17. Item number 2, discuss and consider for approval the creation of 2 assistant swim coach positions within the Parks and Recreation Department. Dawn, do you want to?
Sure. So we have a new swim team through our rec department, and when our Park and Rec Commission approved the team, it was in the hopes that we would have 20 kids sign up for the team. We have 38 right now, which for one coach is a lot of kids to watch. With the revenues that we've taken in from this, we do have to pay for the pool time. We have to pay for a lifeguard at the pool, the head coach, the head swim instructor, and then the coach's time at swim meets, and now we are hoping to have 2 assistant coaches because we need more help on the deck for the safety of the kids. 38 kids is a lot more than we had hoped would sign up, or I had hoped, and it's a good problem to have, but now it's at the point where we really need to have somebody else helping out. Right now the parents are helping out, but they don't really want that as a permanent thing, so.
Any questions, comments?
Requested cost was that total, right?
I've been
Correct.
seeing the Facebook posts on the swim team, but how did it all get started? And it's obviously a hit.
It is a hit. We had a group of parents that had a lot of kids over at the Y, and they wanted to change how things were going. I think it was a little bit too costly for a lot of families.
Mhm.
They had approached us. They actually approached us. The coach had approached us back in the spring, and I thought it was maybe not the time for it and whatever. And then the parents got really involved and met with us and kind of put a proposal together of what their thoughts were on the costs of it and that sort of thing. And we met with them, and we did take it to the Park and Rec Commission just because it's like the biggest program we probably had. And as long as we had 20 kids sign up, the commission had approved it. So like I said, we had hoped, actually 25 would have covered the costs for it completely. So now with the 38 kids and potentially more signing up after the boys season is done, we hope to have a few more coming in, and we will have enough revenue that we can cover 2 coaches or 2 assistant coaches that would be paid like $12 an hour, and those hours would be approximately 42, I think is what I came up with for all the practices.
42.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Where do they swim at?
At Lincoln, we rent the pool. It's not the ideal swim times. It's a little bit late for some of the practices, but we've been able to work a little bit on that, and at this point we haven't had complaints. The
Nice.
families know when the practices are, so they know when to kind of plan for them, and it seems to be working out well. They were in the parade too. I don't know if you saw that.
It did not?
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
A motion to approve.
Wait. You can make the motion, but that's the motion.
Oh.
Tom or Dennis, anything to add or questions before we move on?
No, what salary range were you looking at?
For the assistant coaches,
Yes.
it would be $12.
The one that's your,
$12 an hour.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any benefits with it, or?
No, this would be just a seasonal position,
Okay.
a recreational position.
Okay,
And it would be 2 positions, hopefully.
Okay.
Motion to approve the swim team positions as presented, including a swim coach and 2 assistant swim coaches at the pay rates and job responsibilities outlined.
I'll second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
Item number 2, an HR update. Mr. Hartman.
Yeah, just quickly, kind of from a personnel point of view to wrap up the year and let everybody know where we're at. You're gonna see, you can see a lot of new faces around different departments now, including the fire department. Police department is really having some new faces show up. We've got a couple starting in that new police recruitment academy that'll be starting in January. A couple will be finishing in one will be finishing in December. So we're going to have actually five new faces within the police department coming forward starting in 2024. That has already started in November, and you'll see that process progress. And then some new faces coming into the street department as well, based on some changes that have happened over there, and just replacing positions that have been vacated. We hope to have those taken care of by the end of the year. So if you happen to be out at any of the departments or buildings and see some new faces, feel free to introduce yourself. I think the department heads have done a good and thorough job of choosing the right candidates, and we've got some really good things coming personnel-wise, here at the city. So that's really all I had for an update, just because I know sometimes people wonder how many openings we have and what's open and what's been filled. And
Questions?
No, but thank you. I do wonder that, and it's nice to have that information that those positions are getting filled, specifically the ones we've talked, like the police department we've talked about, we've worked through, and it's always like, I wonder how that's going. So it's nice to have an update.
I know when we had the conversation on the academy, is that what you're referring to? When we?
Yeah, and Chief's mentioned a couple times
Yeah.
that.
So we're actually, we'll have, I believe, 3 candidates going to the academy, which is great. So that tells me that now we'll see how this all shakes out in a year or two, as far as how that pans out as they go through the academy. But just to have the interest of individuals maybe changing a career, saying, I couldn't afford all the purposes that Interim Chief Pataki had brought forward at that point in time. Chief Hostins has really taken that project moving forward, and along with Deputy Chief DeWitt, and we're going to have 3 already, and I think that just was incepted in earlier this year. So 3 in this new academy program. I think that speaks highly to a great idea that was done in there. So
If you remember that's the program that we're paying them to go to the academy now. We approved that last summer, I think, so it
Yep.
looks like it's starting to pay off for us already.
Yep, absolutely. Within a couple of months, we've had people. One cadet will be graduating December 16th, and he'll be on board with us starting December 17th, and then January 2nd and 8th, we have 2 new candidates that'll be entering the academy. So,
Good.
yeah.
Where do we stand,
Oh, go ahead, Mel.
where do we stand, I guess, manpower wise, as far as, what the number's supposed to be in each department, and are we at that?
Overall throughout the city?
Well,
Or just
fire
in the police department?
Street, police,
We are, yep,
or were we
no,
short?
great question. PD, we will be, when we get the 5 completed
Yeah.
candidates, they'll be back to status quo at the police department. So in essence, potentially the bodies have been found and hired. We've got a couple going through the academy, but otherwise they're,
Does that include those 2 then you mentioned that were starting in January?
Yes.
To make it full staff?
yep, yep. So theoretically, I was just talking with Chief Hostins about this the other day. So theoretically, they won't be patrol bodies until May, and then they'll have their FTO process, which I think takes them to September. But like Chief agreed, he said that's just part of the deal. They've been running that way anyway. So just knowing that there's light at the end of the tunnel was the phrase he used yesterday. So, but that will get them back to full strength.
Okay.
I believe we just hired a firefighter that'll be coming on, and that should fill the vacancies at the fire department, so they'll be back to full. And street department we just completed interviews last week for a laborer within the city garage, and that person we plan to have start by the end of the year. And potentially there's 1 more vacancy coming. We're not 100% sure on that yet, but we do have a potential plan in place if and when that does happen as to how to move To actually, our goal would be to try to have that wrapped up by the end of the year. But and I know that's a stretch, but talking with Paul Follard and his supervisors and myself, that's our ultimate goal, is to have everything taken care of by 12/31.
Off the top of your head, do you know what the numbers are in each department for a full crew?
Pretty close. Not exactly, but pretty darn close. I believe there's, I'm going to say 36 police department patrol, or is that
No,
not even?
that's
No?
like total
Total,
patrols.
including
Well,
lieutenants and
well, less than that.
deputy chiefs, okay?
Yeah.
I believe there are 33 firefighters, 11 on each crew. Does that sound right?
Yep.
And there's approximately 40 in the street department.
Okay.
About 10 in wastewater,
Yeah.
and,
Handful in parks.
oh yeah, eight in parks, and
That includes Dawn, Jake.
Jake,
That's the whole crew there, right? The whole staff?
yeah,
Okay.
and then your park and rec crews, and then Sally and Joan over at Centralia Center. Yeah,
Well, that's good to hear that we're close to full, I guess, employment, to say it that way.
yes, we are. We're kind of excited to kind of have hopefully it's nice to have new faces coming in. We just hired a gentleman, just started a week or two ago from the county, over in the street department. He took one of our vacancies. He's excited to be here. He knew a lot of the faces because he was coming from the county already. And so that's gonna be a nice fit, it appears. He jumped in this week or last, and it sounds like he's hit the ground running already.
Okay, thank you.
Dennis?
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Tom had asked a question I was gonna ask, but the other question I was gonna ask you, there was a officer for the police department that was looking at retiring somewhere along the way here. Have you heard anything about that one particular person that may retire within the next few months?
We may have potential retirement coming up in 2024.
Yeah, I know the chief had mentioned something about it.
Okay.
I'm just curious, I mean, you were.
Yeah, and if that is, then he gives me a heads up, and obviously we have that paperwork started then upstairs, if that be the case, to try to have that filled. That's kind of our new outlook, is if we are aware of somebody leaving, we try to have that position, if possible, not always possible, but if possible, to have that position filled when that individual leaves, so that we don't have to start running on overtime.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Good question.
Good. Anything else? All right. We will move on to item number 4 then, which is adjournment, and I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, and we are adjourned at 4:29.
Thank you. No heavy